The following is a solo episode revisiting my current habits and passion projects, in which I talk about my new recording studio, the podcast, the blog and the sketches, the YouTube channel and the live stream, and the importance of learning and play. If you're listening to the audio version, I invite you to go to YouTube. There is a video there that you can watch that I appear here on screen. Before we get started, I'll read to you a quote that is relevant to this episode from Carol Dweck on her book Mindset. The passion for stretching yourself and sticking to it, even or especially when it's not going well, is the hallmark of the growth mindset. This is the mindset that allows people to thrive during some of the most challenging times in their lives. And without further ado, I hope that you enjoy it. Hey, it's Nono, and this is the Getting Simple podcast. This episode is titled Habits and Passion Projects. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about what are my current daily habits and my current active projects. My daily habits, and this is something that you can go back on the podcast and listen to, I think it was called Atomic Habits episode, but I can share on the links of this episode. My current daily habits stay much the same. I try to incorporate others that are not super, let's say I'm not super diligent about, but my core habits, as I call them, are hand sketching. So this is just drawing with fiber pen and watercolors in a small sketchbook that I bring with me around. Writing and journaling. So this means at least hitting 200 words every day and, writing consistently every day. It might be just describing things that happen during my day or things that I draft and intend to write more about, maybe document things that I have just started learning about. So this is journaling and writing. It's a process that I do. I keep my writing into volumes. I call them daily volumes. And every time I have more than 7,000 words in a file, I number it. I store it in a folder that I have all my numbered daily files. And then I start a new one. Yesterday, I started daily 76. And I do 10 minutes of meditation every day. This is something, it's hard to keep a good pace, I'll say. 10 minutes is the kickstart, but usually at least 20 minutes are needed to get a good meditation session, at least on my own experience. And I have to say, in this case, I have to quote unquote cheat many times because I end up doing meditation maybe while I'm in the shower, while I'm leaving, where I'm walking, where I'm doing some other things, trying to be mindful in that moment and not think of anything in particular. But what I really would like to do is have a more, let's say, a better practice where I actually sit with my eyes closed, maybe put some ambient music or something, and I meditate for 10 to 20 minutes every morning. It definitely, you can tell the difference. There is a period of 7 minutes, I think, or 5 that you need to reach some concentration level. So if you only do 10 minutes, you're only going to get a really tiny amount of actual concentration because many things will pop out in your mind. And if you pass that 10-minute mark, usually that's when you actually get some benefits. I do Readwise every day. So this is basically visiting the highlights that I get on my Readwise account. I've mentioned this over and over. It's a service that I happily pay every month for. I've been paying for many years. And, it syncs my Kindle highlights into the website and they send me 5 or the amount of quotes from the books that you select every day, right? So they email you or you can review on the app or on the website. I also have this attempt now trying to read more. So for the last week, I've read Essentialism by Greg McKeown, and I'm trying to read more. Papers, articles online, but mainly books, and usually non-fiction books, but I'm also pairing a bit with fiction. So for example, I was reading Dune, the early months of this year. I kind of stopped now, but I like to keep some fiction book in the middle when I don't want to read nonfiction. All right, so active projects. As you might already know, if you're on the Discord community or if you're following the live stream or you're following the podcast, my active projects involve the podcast. So this is the Getting Simple podcast, which I'm recording right now. The sketches, which not only involve that habit of daily sketching, but also editing them, scanning them, storing them on my computer. Also use them for machine learning as a data set, and also publishing together with essays on the blog. And this links to the next project, which is the blog. I have the sketch.nono.ma blog where I publish sketches together with essays, and the blog where I'm trying to also post daily, and I'll mention that in a second. And then also the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel gathers everything. There are videos from me editing sketches, or like time lapses of me sketching, to podcast episodes with video like this one, or live streams also like this one, because right now I'm recording the podcast live. And even though we'll edit, this live stream will also stay verbatim, right? Like as it is on my YouTube channel. All right. So now I'm going to comment on each of those projects and more, right? Like a few more things one by one. And this is kind of like a mind dump of what has been going on for the past months or past years in my life. So these projects get to solidify a bit, and they actually formalize. I think these passion projects are projects that I end up converting into something a bit more serious. So my hobbies, the things that I enjoy, the things that I learn, and the things that I do for play, I like to professionalize them a bit more than I think other people do. And this is just because I enjoy the process of making something in the most professional manner that I can, like recording video, or like recording audio, publishing online, writing, drawing and editing sketches, doing machine learning experiments, right? So let's go through each of these projects and comment a bit on what they are and what I've been doing. On the blog, I try to publish every day. So this is something that I've been doing since early 2022. I've tried this before, but I stopped because it was a bit too much. But after publishing sketches and essays in Spanish and English for a couple of years, I feel that now the practice actually makes my writing a lot smoother. Like I feel more comfortable expressing myself in English, and now I know how to capture ideas or like share things quicker. And I don't know if I'm fooling myself, but I'm trying to do that. So I've been doing that for more than 3 months now, or around 3 months. And so there is one daily post, and many times it's just like an update about the live stream or about the podcast that I've released, one of those essays in the sketches or whatever. But I'm making an effort to write in public daily. I think you should do as well. If you have a blog, try to write many days in public, because the things that stay in your journal, that's not cheating. I mean, for me, it's a source of memories, it's a source of reflection, of thinking. It's a source of inspiration later for nonfiction writing, because I have facts and things that happen, and I can quote them, or I can cite them, or I can use them because I experienced those things. I was immersed in some activities that I can use in the present, right, about the past in my writing. And, this is on top of journaling. I'm trying to write some things that are publishable, let's say. Many days I also, let's say, I can cheat here just by writing things that I've learned while coding, or things that I had on my backlog that I wanted to write about and maybe repurpose. The next project is sketch.nono.ma. That is the sketches blog. This is what I mentioned before. This is a project in which I continue to publish sketches and essays on Tuesdays. So every Tuesday there is a newsletter that sends out a post in English, Spanish, with a sketch paired to it. And this is an effort that I made. So I had the habit of consistently editing and publishing some of my sketches and writing. And it's turned out really well, because, even though many times I have to just get something together to publish, and maybe it's not the best that I can put out, Many other times I do get that moment where I find 1 or 2 hours to prepare an essay I'm happy about. And that is really rewarding because I'm building a body of work with many, many essays. I think I have 140 or 150 posts already. And it's good. I mean, I get some people to engage, some articles touch readers in a way that I maybe didn't expect, or I get responses, and I think the writing and the messages are resonating with my audience. Both of these projects, the sketches and the blog, require diligence and consistency, right? I try to ingrain my daily habits of writing and sketching and scanning and all these things in my daily routine, because even though I don't publish every single sketch and every single piece of writing, having that huge amount of work or drafts makes it really easy. So on the moment of publishing, I only have to select and curate. I don't have to produce new content. And that's really relieving, because some days you just don't have the inspiration. And if it's a Monday and you don't have a post for Tuesday, because I've committed with myself that I will publish those on Tuesdays, I can just cherry pick from what I have before, maybe edit a bit on the text, translate it, and get some sketch that I did a year ago or 3 weeks ago, or maybe even 4 years ago. That's really rewarding, right? So the daily habits support the activities that I want to do consistently. And I think it would be really hard for me to just come up with a new sketch and a new essay topic and the time to write it for every Tuesday, which I know some people probably do. But if you're on the consistent habit of writing and creating, you're going to have a really big amount of drafts that you can repurpose or you can use at moments when you need them. Usually this requires planning in advance to make sure posts go out on the days while you're on vacation or when you don't have the time to write and edit, as I said. And I'm trying to engage with my audience. Like, if you're subscribed, you can reply to any of the emails. You can also post on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or something. And I did an experiment where I published a post titled, "Which one would you like to read?" That was really a poll for people to vote which articles of the essays that I have in draft mode they wanted to read first. And that way I prioritized, and I have that list. And when I work on those drafts, I'll try to go in order, because I know that people want to read those. But it's just a title, so there wasn't an excerpt or any explanation. So it will be a bit of a surprise what the articles end up really being about. There are several themes that repeat over and over in my writing. So I'm trying to see how to group those essays in a single page publication, so they can be read one after the other. So for instance, so you understand a bit more what I'm talking about, I have essays on the topic of attention, also on the topic of creative friction, or others that talk about blockchain and crypto, and many that talk about the process of writing or daily habits and this sort of thing. So my idea is that, you will be able to go to, for instance, none.ma/attention or none.ma/on-attention, and you'll see every single article one after the other, and you'll be able to read those as maybe a chapter of a book or something that talks about that topic. And you could get to a page that says none.ma/creative friction, and then you just read all of my thoughts and writing published on the topic. Sketching also requires scanning and editing, as I said before. And I've also thought of minting NFTs in the near future. Those are the non-fungible tokens of the blockchain and cryptocurrency world. This is digital art. Mine is physical art, but sometimes I do combine with machine learning experiments and maybe animations and other things. So my thought is that I can create content also that maybe my followership or some people who want to own a piece of my artworks can buy those in that way, right? And for journaling, I also have some, if you've been following some of my work, you might know this. If not, I'll just rehearse or repeat. I have a lot of workflows to automate my common processes. So for journaling, I have a workflow to export my journal volumes, those daily files that I mentioned before, as printable zines. I talked about this with Andrew Witt in our latest podcast conversation. And, the outcome is that I have printed booklets of each of the volumes of my daily journal writing. And that way I can revisit them physically and annotate and do things like this. So I don't have to be browsing through PDFs or like markdown documents on my computer. Let's now move into the next topic, right? This is not a passion project. Well, maybe it is. It basically helps me with all of the different projects that I have. This is my recording studio. This is where I am right now. I'm looking up. You just see this virtual background if you're watching the video. Otherwise, you don't see anything because you're listening to the audio. But this is sort of an announcement I've already mentioned on the live stream, but I do have a new studio. It's not permanent, but I've been using it since late December 2021, early January 2022. This is where I come to record podcasts, video tutorials, and do live streams. And, it feels great to have a dedicated place to do these activities. It's also a nice 10-minute commute by bike to get here. And this helps me get out of my desk at home. I can also work here, and I guess that if I work too much here, I'll end up feeling the same about this space, but at least it's a completely separate place and it doesn't feel like I'm on the same space, right? Like I have my camera in front of me right now. I have two lights. I have another light there. I have like a bunch of absorption panels, so there reduces the echo, and I have a chroma behind me. I have a recorder. I have a timer. There are many things here, and as I said, I've talked about this on the podcast already, but the sad part is that this is a temporary location and I'll have to relocate somewhere else probably within the next year. And, I hope that I can make a video showing this space and the equipment that I use in the near future. Moving to the next topic or project, right? We're going to talk about the podcast, live stream, and monetization, and later learning and play. So talking about the podcast, which is one of my main side projects or passion projects, I continue to enjoy a lot. It's become a bit challenging to have to do everything remotely. I enjoyed traveling. I enjoyed meeting people in person. I enjoyed not only spending time with my guests on a Zoom call that is tightly scheduled to cover like 2 hours or 3 hours, and then we both go back to our regular lives, right? Meeting somebody in person, maybe talking, chit-chatting a bit with them before the interview, scheduling for lunch after the interview, or maybe even go surfing with a guest like I did with Ian Q in the past, or I don't know, just hang out or cook for my guests at home or something like that, right? It's something that I miss. Like I would like to get back at recording in person. I created this studio, so it's super convenient for me to schedule a call, jump into a meeting, record for 2 hours, and then go back to my life. But I also miss that personal connection with guests, and I think I'm looking forward to recording more on video, in-person interviews with my guests. Maybe I can also build a studio, a bigger studio to record interviews in person here, and I can invite my guests to sunny Malaga in Spain. All right, so the latest interview we did was with Andrew Witt. It's had good reception, so I invite you to go and listen to it. We have detailed chapters as always, so you can jump ahead to topics that you think might interest you more. And I've also been talking to Joanny Lemercier. He's a visual artist and environmental activist from France that is based in Brussels. And we're looking to record an interview in the coming months. So let's look forward to that. And in the future, I'll announce other guests. Talking about process, you can say that recording the interview itself, it's the easy part on the podcast because you have that scheduled window and you know that within those 1, 2, 3 hours, you're going to have to get it done. You hit record, you set everything up and you start talking. I have some notes, but what's actually hard is talking to the guest, finding them, making sure they are on board and they want to record, that the thing is scheduled and will happen. It's hard to book guests and prepare for the interview. When they tell you, yes, I'm going to do it, you have to prepare. So you're going to invest some time. Sometimes they bail out and you just have your notes lingering there for nothing, because it's basically notes crafted to interview a specific person, and there's no interview happening. So that's hard. There's some time that needs to happen before the interview. And then after the recording, you end up with a bunch of video and audio recording files that need to be edited into a cohesive interview that people can watch or listen to smoothly, that then has to be prepared for release and has to be uploaded. You have to create thumbnails, you have to create a description, choose a title, create the episode notes, add the markers to the interview, export the markers to YouTube, upload the video to YouTube. There is like a lot of stuff involved that you can just not imagine probably. And even though I've done a lot of automations in terms of how the newsletter goes out, how social media posts get shared, how things show up on the website, how I upload things to the website, and how maybe even metadata is read from the MP3 file, so I don't have to copy and paste or rewrite. But, the process is really tedious. So there is a big investment outside of just the recording and the publishing of the episode that it's many times invisible. I know that if you just do things live, there's no editing that has to happen. There's still preparation. I have some notes in front of me even for this episode, because I want it to be condensed and I want to make sure that I deliver the information I have to deliver in this episode. And then lastly, talking about the podcast, the Bytes series, we haven't done any new Bytes episodes with Aziz Barbar, but I intend to, and we also intend to have an interview with Aziz as a guest on the podcast, because some people have asked for it. Moving on to the live stream and the YouTube channel, and maybe not the live stream, but the YouTube channel, right? We have the live stream and video tutorials and the podcast and other things. I'm going to try to continue to focus on machine intelligence for designers. I'm building knowledge myself so I can create a course that makes sense. And I'm also trying to integrate the podcast here. This episode is actually being recorded live. So if you go to my YouTube channel and look for Live 69, you'll find the day where I recorded this episode, right? Like if you're listening to the podcast, this will be edited and more summarized maybe a bit, but the long form, like with everything, the glitches, the mistakes, and all the preparation that I did is on the YouTube channel. The live stream is an extension to everything I do. I try to integrate sketching, tutorials, coding, design, the podcast, my writing, my thinking, and my reflections. And there's one thing, we need to do a community call there for the podcast and for the live stream. Join the Discord and tell me that you want to do that. This will look like a Zoom call or some sort of call where it's open mic and anyone can talk. It's not just me, we'll live stream it. You'll be able to, just chat with other people in the community and share your thoughts on how things are going, maybe your thoughts on the podcast, on the topics of the podcast and the topics of the live stream, on machine intelligence for designers, on creative coding, automation, and many other things, right? The latest topics that we've covered on the live stream include linear regression, generative image to image translation networks, or also GANs that can generate sketches, sentiment analysis, AI sketch vectorization. And I think what's common in all of these experiments is that the fast pace at which machine learning and AI move creates knowledge anxiety, at least in me. I know that in many of you as well. This is a term that Andrew Witt mentioned in our latest podcast conversation that resonated with me, and I know with others as well. There is so much going on today with machine learning, with cryptocurrencies and blockchain, with like how technology and services are being released that implement AI to make workflows more streamlined. And if you feel this, you're not alone. I feel it the same way, and I think sometimes you just need to unplug and say, let the river flow, let it all go and happen. I'm just going to focus on this piece of text or book that I have in front of me, and I'm going to disconnect from the news and from everything. And you, at some point, need to choose your own research lines or learning topics and need to focus on them, right? Like even if you spend 6 months and there's a lot of other things released, you need to choose your field of expertise or study and focus on that. And actually, you will just see that everything that you master will be useful in the future. And the only thing, right, everyone repeats this. I'm not sure who was the first to say this, but I know that I always cite David Allen because I read it from him, but now I see it everywhere. It's like, you can do anything that you want, but you cannot do everything. And this is the motto of like Getting Simple and Dieter Rams, and now even Cal Newport has this on the cover of his podcast, is do less, better. Or do less and do better. However you want to say, we don't have unlimited time, and everything that we do taxes our brain. It steals time from ourselves, and that knowledge anxiety will happen over and over again when you overcommit, when you try to cover too much, when you feel that there is so much that you don't know. Let's focus on little pieces of knowledge and study them carefully and try to understand everything else in a high level. But there's no time to go in depth in every single topic. Okay, so moving, I also wanted to make a quick comment in this episode about monetization. I make money on my full-time job. I feel super thankful that I can do what I do, that I can be spending some hours of my morning just recording in front of a camera and with a microphone, because I was able to get this material, and I have the life that I have. So I'm really grateful, and I'm really thankful of the opportunities that I have to talk to the people that I talk on the podcast and work with the people that I work every day. So with that said, I'm still not directly monetizing the podcast or the live stream. I don't have official sponsors, as you can see. I mean, at least at the moment of recording or releasing, there are no sponsors on this episode. There are no ads except for a tiny bit amount of affiliate money that some random times gets through Amazon affiliate links, which is super negligible. It's like a couple dollars every month or whatever. It's not even $10 or $20 a month. The only thing that's basically giving me any money at all is the Remarkable tablet. They have a referral program where, the tablet is around $500 or $600. And if people buy the tablet through your link, they'll be getting back to you like $40 for every purchase, and then also discounting them $40. And, I've managed randomly to put a video on YouTube where I shared how I screen share during the live streams, and I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 people bought the thing already. So I've recovered half of the amount that I spent on that tablet. But, I'm not making money yet on any of this stuff. Even to monetize your YouTube channel, YouTube requires you have a minimum of 1,000 subscribers, which we got in the channel some months ago. And you also have to have 4,000 played hours in your channel over the past 12 months, which I don't have yet. I'm currently at 2,400 hours, so I have still 1,600 hours to go. And the income I can expect, as the channel is at the moment, is really low. The topics I cover in terms of machine learning, machine intelligence for designers is super niche, but I know there is a big audience. I know many of you are interested, are also trying to learn, are trying to maybe cross paths in your career and go a different direction. I myself went from architecture to being a software developer to being a machine learning engineer. It's possible. It requires many years. So your brain actually clicks and understands what the neural network concepts mean and how machine learning works and how AI can be embedded in other processes. But your career change is possible. And now more than ever, I think these skills to shape shift and change direction are super important. So about learning and play, and this is one of the last things. We'll talk about crypto and digital art and some other stuff in a second. Learning and play. As I said, I've read Greg McKeown's book, Essentialism, and I love how he refers to play, which is something I already do, but it was good to read a refresher of this practice explained in a formal way, right? The book is really well written, and there are references to many things that I've read in other books, but I like to continuously learn new things and practice skill. This is one of the reasons why I do the podcast, I do tutorials, I live stream, I write, I sketch, and I do all the things that I do. And you can choose your own activities. You don't need to do these ones. You can choose whatever you want for play. These passion projects let me connect with wonderful people and make play part of my daily life. So I consider all of these passion projects play. Even at work, I get to play sometimes and do things that I want to engage in, that I want to learn, that are new for me and are new challenges. But, I didn't, for example, do this studio to do my podcast or record only. Like it makes it more satisfying, and I enjoy the process of learning and the effort of putting it together, because I like that process of professionalizing a hobby or an activity to get to do it the best I can, right? With the means I have and maybe the money I have. So with this said, I do think you should embed learning, self-improvement, and play in your daily routines. I do think you have to, I do have to do that. I know that for some people it's not as important, but even if it's, I don't know, you can choose whatever. I don't even want to give examples of other things that you could do, because you have to find that for yourself. But one of the things when I'm asked to give career advice to other people, what I said is that my lack was to be a curious person who discovered many things that I enjoy doing for a living and in my free time from really early on in my career. Like, I like design. I like to explain ideas. I like going from concept to a developed product. I like to create apps or websites. I like to create prototypes. I like to make videos and record, right? I end up enjoying many things, even writing or sketching, because I like to create a finished product. I like to get an idea, package it into something that other people can consume or use, and ship it. You might like other things, but I found that because of my love for design and for things well done, I from really early on was able to choose my path, or like at least see what things I was going to experiment with and identify which ones I was enjoying the most. Learning and play are something really influential in the rest of your life, because there won't be a time when you can just do learn and play. You have to ingrain this habit in your routines, in your daily life, in your weekly schedule, because otherwise it won't happen. There is this myth of a better life I've written about on the blog, and we're not going to get a better moment to do these things. We need to pause and see how to find the time every day or every week or every month to do these things. So that's for learning and play. Crypto and digital art. I wanted to make also a comment, and we're packing many things in this episode. One of those things I do for fun and I want to learn more about is the world of blockchain, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other cryptocurrencies. Learn about crypto, NFTs, digital art, and mainly learn about what it is in general, so I can talk and understand what's going on, but also engage a bit in the technological side. Like, how do you buy tokens? How do you get money? How do you acquire maybe digital artworks from other people online? How do you mint your own NFTs? How do you create your own token that belongs to an artwork and maybe even sell that and get some royalties? Or maybe gift that for somebody to have that value store. We talked about this concept of value stores also that Andrew Witt mentioned on the latest episode. As you can see from the latest podcast interviews, because I've become more interested on blockchain and cryptocurrencies and crypto technology, I'm asking my guests about this topic. Every time that I become interested in a topic, I bring small questions to guests that might have an interesting point of view on them. So if they're technological, maybe I ask about AI and crypto. If they're writers, I ask about writing and process and thinking. If they're journalists, maybe I ask about how they record, how do they interview people. One of the topics that I'm interested in now, as I said, is crypto, and I'm asking my guests about this topic. I'm also experimenting a bit with Solana, because transaction fees. Solana is a blockchain technology. I like Ethereum, sort of like Bitcoin, but it's more similar to Ethereum because both Ethereum and Solana are blockchains in which people can build applications, and they have a lot more flexibility. You can not only just send tokens for fractions of a Bitcoin, which just represent currency. There is the currency Ethereum and Solana, but there is also the blockchain Ethereum and Solana. And transaction fees, what's called the gas in Ethereum, is really high. You have to pay a lot of money to transact or to basically create or mint an NFT, or to do other things like create a program, what's called the smart contract in Ethereum. So Solana's fees are super small. Like, I think for a transfer of money is like 0.00005 Solana. You have to do 20 transactions right now at the value that Solana is to spend 1 cent of a dollar transacting. This is crazy because sometimes to pass money in the Ethereum chain, you have to pay somewhere between 9 or 10 to $100. I don't know, it depends. But minting NFTs, I know that before, I think was like $50 or $100. So if minting Solana NFTs is like 1,000 or 2,000 times, or I don't know how many times cheaper, I have to see. This is just something I'm learning about right now. So I'm looking at Solana, just want to see the applications of blockchain. And even though, I'm not financial advisor, so please don't make any financial decisions based on what I say here. But I'm looking at this world, and I consider that, cryptocurrencies could be a good value store. They might crash, so you might lose all your money. But in the future, maybe some of these coins actually manage to stay in a better position. I don't know. I'm learning about it, but I like to stay on top so I can follow along a conversation on these topics, and also I can engage. Maybe we can create interesting technology with it. The last topic of today is that I need your help. So if you're listening to this podcast, somebody who's listening, who enjoys the podcast, I would love if you let me know, right? You can submit messages at gettingsimple.com/ask, and I would love to know. Reach me out on Twitter and tell me that you're enjoying these things, if you like these topics or not, which podcast you enjoyed, whatever you want to say, just feel free to reach out. And why I need your help. You could, for anyone's support and help, you can just watch the content and tell me what you think about it. And you could also share it with your peers, like maybe specific parts of the conversations or entire episodes or the live stream, right? Sharing with others, great. What I really need help for today is that I'm going to be interviewing people to work with me on the podcast and the live stream. I will need 3 roles mainly. They can be hybrids or they can be just one person doing all, but that's unlikely. I need 3 things. Somebody who helps me as a virtual assistant, somebody as a podcast editor, and somebody as a video editor. So the virtual assistant would communicate with guests and prepare interview notes. I'm doing this work right now, and I'm looking forward to continue engaging at the same level, but not having to spend the same amount of time I'm spending at the moment. I would need a podcast editor to edit the interviews and episodes and help me with releasing, and a video editor to edit the live stream and tutorials and upload clips to the YouTube channel. This is tedious, and that's a reason why I'm not releasing a lot of YouTube videos lately, more than the podcast and the live streams, because I want to externalize this, work with somebody who's good at this, and maybe even can bring their own point of view to the project, and maybe even improve the way that we release the videos. The outcome of this, or like what I'm looking for, is like to create even better material that gets uploaded and condenses knowledge and ideas in a better way. So that might mean that a 30-minute video on the live stream might end up being a 10 or like a 5-minute video on YouTube, because people who haven't watched the live stream or want to revisit a specific concept can go to that video and watch it in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, right? There are some things that need to be longer in the hands-on coding realm, but for concepts and ideas and quick things that we can share, videos can be even short as 1 or 2 minute videos that have worked really well. I have an example that works specifically well, which is the flattened layer explained. That video has smashed all the analytics of any other machine learning videos that I've created. And it's not clickbait. Actually, people are writing comments and liking the video because it seems that it helps them understand the concept of the flattened layer, like the machine learning operation, in 1 minute and a half. For me, that's awesome. And I'm surprised because that was just a 1 minute and a half clip from a live stream that I did. So maybe if I hadn't thought of that, I wouldn't have clipped that video ever, and people wouldn't have come to my content in that way. All right, so I think this is enough for today. I hope you enjoyed this mind dump that I did just in front of the camera to let you know what I've been thinking, what I'm working on, what are my core habits, what are my passion projects, and the things that I'm doing lately, and the things that I think I'm going to continue doing in the near future. I'd love to hear from you. You can submit questions about this or any previous episode at gettingsimple.com/ask. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Thank you.